Have you ever settled down, inhaled deeply, and pondered, what's next? You've devoted years to nurturing a household, advancing a profession, or managing life's challenges. Now, abruptly, the surroundings feel calmer, the phone rings less often, folks are occupied with their paths, and certain activities that once sparked delight no longer resonate the same. It's an odd sensation, yet here's the key. This phase of existence conceals a mystery many fail to notice. If you're assuming it's about wealth or kin, reconsider. Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, please tap the like button, subscribe, and press the bell icon to stay updated with uplifting content that empowers you to thrive at any stage. Today, we're exploring the key to joy after 80, and believe me, it's not what most assume. Let's begin with a startling fact. Have you ever observed that some folks seem to glow with happiness, even with little wealth or few relatives nearby? Conversely, others with abundant riches and dear ones around still feel isolated, uneasy, or even somber. Why is that? Well, the first key to joy after 80 is something remarkably basic, yet often overlooked: inquisitiveness. Consider this. When you were younger, each day delivered something fresh: learning to pedal a bicycle, beginning a new role, or visiting an unfamiliar destination. Your mind was always active, exploring, expanding, and adjusting. But over time, life settles into a rhythm. We slip into habits, repeat the same actions, chat with the same folks, and, gradually, that sense of inquisitiveness dims, and, with it, a touch of happiness fades. Now, you might wonder, at my stage, what's left to be inquisitive about? So much. Inquisitiveness isn't about roaming the globe or mastering a new tongue, though those are splendid, if feasible. It's about viewing daily existence with a renewed perspective. Have you ever pondered the past of your community, the tale of your neighbor's life, or the roots of a melody you cherish? These tiny sparks of inquisitiveness awaken the mind, infuse life with vitality, and, most crucially, keep you involved. A study from the University of California revealed that older adults who remain inquisitive and keep learning boast stronger mental health and are less prone to sadness. In other words, staying inquisitive isn't just beneficial for your mind, it's vital for your joy. So, how do you rekindle inquisitiveness in your life? Start small. Read a book on a subject you're unfamiliar with, initiate a chat with someone unfamiliar, or take a new path on your stroll to see what's there. Ask yourself, what's something I've always wanted to understand? Then pursue the answer. One of the most joyful people I know is an 84-year-old gentleman who every morning selects a random subject, anything from beekeeping to ancient Rome, and dedicates an hour to learning about it. He doesn't do it for a job, money, or to impress anyone. He does it because he relishes the thrill of discovery, and that simple practice keeps him vibrant. Now, inquisitiveness is just one part of the equation. There's another element that has an even greater effect on joy after 80, and it has nothing to do with your wealth or how many relatives visit. It's about connection, but not in the way you might assume. We all know humans need a connection to flourish, but when people hear connection, they often envision family, close companions, or a lifelong spouse. While those bonds are marvelous, they aren't the only or even the most vital sources of joy as we age. The kind of connection that truly keeps people content after 80 is something much wider. Feeling linked to the world around you. Reflect on this. Have you ever had a brief but meaningful exchange with a stranger at the market, or shared a grin with someone during a walk? These moments may seem minor, but they foster a sense of belonging. As we age, that sense of belonging is what truly wards off loneliness, not just having kin or close companions, but feeling you're still part of life's vast, tapestry. In fact, studies show that casual interactions like chatting with a neighbor, greeting a barista, or exchanging courtesies with a passerby elevate mood and overall well-being. A study from the University of British Columbia found that older adults who frequently engaged in light conversation with acquaintances reported higher joy levels than those who only spoke with close companions or kin. Why? Because these moments remind us we're still linked to the world, still visible, still part of something grander than ourselves. The beauty of this is its incredible simplicity to nurture. Unlike deep friendships, which require time to grow, these daily connections can be forged instantly. Next time you're out, try making eye contact and saying hello to someone, compliment the person at the checkout, or ask a fellow stroller how their day is going. These small interactions don't just brighten someone else's day, they remind you that you're still part of the vibrant web of human existence. I knew a woman, Eleanor, who lived alone after her spouse passed away. She had children, but they lived far away, and she rarely saw them. One day, she decided that every time she left the house, she'd have at least one meaningful interaction with someone. No matter how small a chat with the bus driver, a conversation with a shop assistant, or simply enjoying the company of others at a park. Within months, she felt more joyful than she had in years. She once told me, "I may not have a large family nearby, but I have the world around me, and that's sufficient." That's the magic of broad connection. It doesn't demand deep friendships or family reunions. It requires a willingness to engage with the world, to be open to moments of warmth with those around you. And speaking of warmth, there's another potent key to joy after 81. That might surprise you even more. It has nothing to do with wealth or kin, and everything to do with how you perceive yourself and your place in the world. If there's one thing that can silently rob joy in your later years, it's the feeling of being less useful, less relevant, less needed. Society often fixates on youth, making it easy to believe that aging means fading away, but that belief is false. And the most joyful people over 80 know the truth. Your value doesn't vanish with age, it deepens. There's a shift when you stop viewing yourself as past your peak and start recognizing that you possess something invaluable: wisdom, perspective, and the ability to discern what truly matters. And here's the best part: when you embrace that, your joy grows, and so does your influence on the world around you. I once met a man named Harold, 87 years old, who had worked as a mechanic for most of his life. He had no children, no surviving kin, and little wealth. But every day, he was joyful. Why? Because he saw himself as valuable. He spent his afternoons on a bench outside an auto shop, chatting with younger mechanics who sought his advice. He wasn't paid or running the business, but he offered something priceless: his experience, stories, and guidance. In doing so, he felt needed. He felt alive. That's the secret. Feeling needed isn't about holding a job or raising a family. It's about recognizing you still have something to offer, and you do. Whether it's sharing life lessons, mentoring someone younger, volunteering, or simply being a kind, steady presence, your wisdom matters. And let's be clear, this isn't about grand gestures. You don't need to launch a new career or start a big project. Sometimes the most meaningful impact comes from the simplest acts: offering advice to a neighbor, teaching a grandchild something you love, or sharing a story from your past with someone who needs encouragement. These moments remind you, and those around you, that age is not a loss, it's a gain. One of the most inspiring things I have ever heard was from an 85-year-old woman named Margaret. She said, "I don't wake up asking what I have to do today. I ask what I have to give today." And that shift, focusing on what you can offer instead of what you've lost, changes everything. Now, we've discussed inquisitiveness, connection, and purpose. But there's one more key to joy after 80, and it might be the most potent of all. It's something that transcends the mind and reaches deep into the heart. There's a moment in life when you realize joy isn't something you pursue, it's something you craft. The most joyful people over 80 have mastered one thing that transforms everything: thankfulness. Now, I know what you might think: I've heard this before, but stay with me. Because thankfulness after 80 is unique. It's not about simply being grateful in a vague, passive way. It's about deliberately choosing to focus on what endures instead of what has faded. It's about training your mind, yes, training to see delight in places you might have overlooked before. When you're younger, thankfulness often ties to big events: a promotion, buying a home, celebrating major milestones. But later in life, the most powerful thankfulness comes from cherishing small, everyday moments, the warmth of sunlight on your skin, the flavor of your morning tea, the comfort of a familiar chair, the sound of birds at dawn. The most joyful people don't just notice these moments, they savor them. There was a woman named Helen, 92 years old, who had lost much her spouse, her ability to travel, even some independence. But if you met her, you'd think she was the wealthiest person alive. Every morning she wrote down 3 things she was thankful for, and they weren't grand things. One day, it was the scent of fresh pastries. Another, a call from an old friend. She once told me, "If you search for what's missing, you'll always find it. But if you look for what's still here, life will always feel abundant." That's the true secret. Thankfulness isn't about pretending life is flawless, it's about deciding that even in imperfection, there's beauty. It's about focusing on what you can enjoy rather than what you've lost. And when you do this daily, when you train yourself to see delight in small things, you don't just feel happier, you become happier. Science supports. This research from Harvard shows that people who practice thankfulness regularly experience less stress, less sadness, better sleep, and even improved heart health. Why? Because the mind follows where you guide it. If you focus on loss, you feel empty. If you focus on what endures, you feel full. So, what's the true secret to joy after 80? It's not wealth, it's not kin. It's not some magic recipe, it's inquisitiveness, staying open to life. No matter your age, it's a connection finding delight in the people around you, even in small moments. It's purpose knowing you still have something to offer, and most of all, it's thankfulness, choosing daily to see what's still beautiful. And here's the best part. Joy isn't something that happens to fortunate people, it's something you can nurture, starting today. So, I challenge you, before you go to bed tonight, think of 3 things you're thankful for, write them down, say them aloud, feel them in your heart, and tomorrow, do it again. It's a small habit, but it has the power to transform everything. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to stay updated with more content. To help you thrive at any stage, and share in the comments, what's something small that brings you delight? Let's start a conversation and uplift each other. Here's to a life that's full, vibrant, and deeply joyful, no matter how many candles are on your cake.